Thank you, everyone. My name is Ben. It's an honor to be here this afternoon to share this topic, very interesting topic. And I want to thank the Crypto Expo organizer for putting me right after the previous panel, because the previous panel did a very good job of discussing centralized and decentralized exchanges and what it means to every one of us who wants to invest, who want to trade, and who want to earn from this crypto industry. So my topic focuses on the future of decentralized security. So let's start. And I think there was one question just now that talked about this crypto, how is it going to be adopted? How do we achieve mass adoption, right? Are we ready? And I'm going to touch on that as well. Okay, so first of all, let's look at a bit about centralized security. What is centralized security? I think most of us know because we live in a Web 2 world right now. Web 2 platforms like traditional banks, centralized exchanges, CeFi, even Facebook, these are all centralized, right? Where they control your identity, basically, this private key, the private key to your crypto assets, NFTs. These are centrally custodied. And just now the panel already discussed the different ways that centralized entity can ensure the safety of your crypto assets, okay? And they have to do that because they want to standardize the security services for all users. Users come in 24/7, anytime, right? So they have to be ready to be able to withdraw and their assets. But in the crypto world, we have this understanding, this saying, say, not your keys, not your coins, right? Now, why is that so? We look at some of the examples that we have. Coinbase recently, they announced that if ever they go through bankruptcy, I'm not saying they are, but if ever they go through it, the crypto that the user deposit and custody by Coinbase could also be part of the bankruptcy proceedings. And according to my understanding, the users themselves will be the last in line after the creditors, after the lawyers taken everything off, whatever is left, then given to the users, right? So we have to be aware of that. At least Coinbase is honest enough to share that. A lot of exchanges are not, right? But they still do it. Okay, and we have a lot of horror stories we learn about this centralized platform where somehow the asset is gone, or one way or another. So there are risks. We have to be very clear that there are definitely risks in the centralized security. For example, we heard recently FinBlock's staking and yield earning platform pause all reward distribution, and users can only withdraw up to $500 per day, maximum $1,500 in a month, right? And Celsius, anyone have assets in Celsius? Anyone? Looks like I'm the only one. Indeed, I still have a couple of Ethereum left in there. I withdraw most of it when the rumors start to come out. So, but I think, well, maybe I left a few in there, should be okay. And now I cannot withdraw anything, right? Because it's centralized, we have to wait for them. We are at their mercy, basically, right? So, centralized security is good and convenient, definitely, but it also has a single point of failure, right? So, because it's a single point of failure, hackers can employ all resources to hack it because there's a big payoff from one successful attack, right? So we have 2016, the Bitfinex cryptocurrency exchange hacked 119,000 Bitcoin was stolen. Today's price is roughly 2.2 billion. Recently it was recovered, right? But recovered by FBI, not to the user. Right? I'm not sure what FBI is going to do with that. 2018, we have the very famous Singapore SingHealth hack, right? Even our PMD's data was stolen, okay? And 2022, recently, we know OCBC phishing attack happened, and OCBC has to pay back to the user, right? Even though technically it's not OCBC's fault, right? And of course, we talk about Celsius, and very big news this year, everybody know, even a nuclear-capable country, their foreign exchange was confiscated. Let alone people like us, right? So these are the risks that we have to be very clear about, okay? So we analyze the pros and cons. The problem is the private keys in the centralized security platform has to be stored and accessible to the user constantly, 24/7. That means hackers have 24/7 to hack it all the time. And they just need one successful hack to be able to penetrate and get their assets. And it also means high costs for security organizations like banks, all these organizations, they have to deploy a lot of money, effort, manpower to secure their whole servers, right? But bear in mind, these are not profit centers for them, correct? These are just costs. They have to do it, but it's not making money for them, okay? So risk of the security implication is very high. If ever they breach the data leaks, privacy law, they're going to be fined by the government. So they have to do it, but it's not making money for them, okay? Also, no matter how good your security is, it's very hard to prevent insider attack, right? Disgruntled employee or the founder himself run away and so on. So, but it does offer convenience. That means users like us, we give up our personal control of our private key so that we can rely on centralized authority to recover password for us if we ever forget it, right? And also maybe in some cases recover some stolen assets. Okay. Next, look at decentralized. What is decentralized security? Okay, this is a bit new because it's Web 3.0. Okay, so typically non-custodial wallets, cold wallet, hard wallet, DeFi, DEX, all these are using decentralized security, where you own the private key yourself, not the organization. You own it yourself. You alone have complete control over your assets. How that is done? Typically, individual user will store and own the private key to their crypto asset, to their NFT, to their decentralized digital identities, and so on, in a non-custodial wallet, whether it's a cold wallet, a hard wallet, and hot wallet, okay? And it is, therefore, their own individual responsibility for their own security and storage. So you have to make sure that you custody it properly, okay? The result is this. Because individual users control our own private key, now imagine you are the hacker. You want to hack all these people, what are you going to do? You had to hack every one of you, right? One by one. So the cost is very high. And the problem is you do not know if I hack this person, in the end, I look at his wallet, he may not have any money in there. So go to the next one and so on and so on. So the cost is much higher, right? And therefore, it's less incentive for the hackers to target individual users. Okay, but if they target a centralized exchange or a bank or one successful hack is good enough. So, at least as far as we know, nobody can hack Bitcoin, right? The network itself. And for hard wallets, cold wallets, it's also almost impossible to hack. So these are the best options for us to secure our individual private keys. Okay. But there are cons, of course. So the pro is that the user keep their private keys offline in a cold wallet, for example, right? That's the most secure one. If you put it in a hot wallet, like in an app, like those hot wallet in the app, your private key is on the app 24/7, right? And therefore, it is quite dangerous. But if you keep your key offline in a cold wallet, like a hardware wallet, then it's definitely safe because hackers cannot hack a cold wallet because it's offline, correct? Okay, it makes it very difficult to target these users, right? And also the hacker doesn't know when you are going to execute a transaction. So it's very hard to predict, okay? To the user itself, actually the cost is quite low because the hardware wallet costs like how much? Less than $200, right? You can secure your crypto assets or your NFT assets that can cost, that worth thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So definitely worth it to invest in a cold wallet, okay? And it matters to us because, it's our own assets, right? Okay, and because the cost is now distributed across thousands and hundreds of thousands of users, and it avoids what we call a single point of failure. Okay, but why is it very challenging? It is still very challenging, right? How many of you use a hardware wallet? Can I have a show of hand? Anyone? One, a few? Okay, not that many. I think less than 10. Okay, out of this audience, I assume most of us are crypto users. Only 10, around 10 have hardware wallet. Why? Why? It's very challenging, right? Okay, let's look at some of the problem. Okay, it requires individual users to have high security consciousness and awareness to be able to properly secure their asset in a non-custodial, in a decentralized manner. Okay, especially how to store and manage recovery phrases, or seed phrases, and your password. Okay, it places high demand on individual, right? But the problem is most of us are not security trained, right? Most of us here, I would say, would know what the importance of seed phrase, right? But if you look at the 300 to 500 millions of crypto users that are in the crypto industry right now, I think 90% of them are not aware that the seed phrase is very, very important. Right? If you lose the seed phrase, you lose your asset. The seed phrase is your private key. Right? Therefore, we encounter so many horror stories of how they lose their asset overnight. Right? So there is always a risk there. Okay? And they fall prey to phishing attacks. So imagine if someone pretend to be a big company, a listed company, send email to you and say that your key is now obsolete, you need to upgrade it, please send me your seed phrase, I'll do it for you. 90% of us will do that, right? We won't. I'm sure none of us will, but I'm sure 90% of people outside there will do that, correct? Including our parents, our mom and dad, right? They say, oh, this company is listed company, it must be safe. So I send our seed phrase to them. And of course, next day, all the asset is gone, right? So it is very important. One of the reasons is because it relies on one factor only. And that factor is what you know, right? Your seed phrase is what you know. Your password is what you know, right? So by relying on what you know, people can phish it from you, right? They can attack you. But if you combine what you know with what you have, which is a hardware wallet or cold wallet, then the hacker cannot hack it, right? You need both. The hacker needs to access what you know and also need to steal your hardware wallet, okay? So that is much safer. But the problem is seed phrase is a very complicated process. Right? I think a lot of us already done that. You have to copy the 12 to 24 words, right, on a piece of paper. Make sure you copy everything correctly, not one single dot less, not one single dot more, and don't take a picture of it. Okay? Make sure you do it manually, because if you take a picture of it, it's gone. Because anyone with a picture of your seed phrase has your private key. Okay? So that is one of the reasons why we don't have mass adoption right now, right? All of you, I think less of 10 of you have a hardware wallet. Mass adoption is very difficult now because of all these challenges. If we look at some of them, right? For example, we have this very famous guy from UK who lost $200 million worth of Bitcoin because he lost the password. He has 10 tries to go into to try his password, but he already tried 8 times, left 2 times, so he dare not try anymore. Because if you do that, then the Bitcoin will be lost forever. Right? So he's in then another UK guy, why always UK, I'm not sure. Well, UK guy who accidentally dumped his Bitcoin worth of 300 crore, which is about, I think, $100 million in a hard drive, and he threw away the hard drive accidentally. And now the hard drive is somewhere in a rubbish dump in UK, and he's trying to get someone to dig it up for him. Right? So that's a challenge. Okay. So with all this problem, is there a better way? What is the future of private key management? Because private key management is the key to all our future assets, right? Whether it's a crypto, whether it's an NFT, or whether it's a digital identity, it all relies on your private key. So without the private key, if you lose the private key, you lose everything. Now imagine in the future metaverse where you have hundreds of identity, each identity for different games, different metaverse, some of the identity, some are NFT, the private key, the NFT could be worth millions of dollars. Now, if you lose the private key to that, what happened? Disaster, right? Okay. We will propose, remove the the vulnerability, the weakest point in the whole chain is actually the human error, right? It is a human error. Hardware problem, no problem. Okay, software very good, but human error is always the weakest link. And the human error, because of this very key thing, the seed phrase. Okay, so most decentralized security rely on seed phrase or recovery phrase, like what I mentioned just now, 24 words or 12 words. But you think about it, what is a seed phrase? A seed phrase is basically converting your private key, which is supposed to be private, into a piece of paper and expose it for the world to see. Correct? Because you need that to copy in order to recover your hardware in case you ever lost your hardware or you lose your private key, you need to enter the seed phrase in to recover. But that is actually a very, I would say, insecure way of storing your private key. Because you have no idea if anyone has ever taken a picture of your seed phrase, right? Someone may have taken a seed phrase and you have no idea he had done it. And one day when your private key owns 100 Bitcoin, next day they can come and take it away from you without you knowing. So that is the problem. We have human errors. We copy wrongly. We misplace the seed phrase. The seed phrase is worn out, the ink faded. All kinds of horror problems could happen, right? So it's a ticking time bomb. Okay? So if we can remove this, it will solve the problem. I think it will make the whole process very easy, idiot-proof, and even my mom and dad can use this. Is there a way? Let me introduce the local company called UKISS. He developed a hardware, which is a hardware wallet, and it's patented in 20 over countries, and basically from US to China to Europe, Southeast Asia, and all, they're all patented, granted already. It removes the need for seed phrase altogether. That means it uses the hardware to recover and back up a hardware. Okay, so your private key is stored in the hardware and it never leaves the hardware. And to back up, you use another hardware to back up this hardware. So you can have multiple hardware backing up, right? So instead of a piece of paper, you use a hardware. Now, why is it hardware better? Of course, hardware, if anyone gets hold of this hardware, it cannot see the seed inside, right? It's not transparent, okay? And they have to plug it into the computer, and now there's a problem. You need a pin. Every hardware, you need a pin. So if you do not know the PIN, you cannot access the key inside. So it's a two-factor authentication. So what you have and what you know, right? So combining what you have and what you know. Now imagine a hacker. They want to hack your private key. First, he may steal your PIN because maybe you write your PIN in a file and you put it in Google Drive. So someone hack your file and say, aha, this is the PIN. But he doesn't have your hardware, right? He had to come to your house, somehow steal your hardware, and then plug it into the computer, store the key in the PIN. Then he can access your private key. Okay, that makes it very hard for hackers to do that in a mass scale, right? So we believe that this will be the answer to achieving mass adoption of private key, personal private key, decentralized management. Okay, and it's so easy, you can set it up under 2 minutes because there's no seed phrase. Just plug in and set up your PIN, you're done. So under 2 minutes, you can set up. So anybody can do it, okay? And it's relying on a pin-protected hardware technology for secure synchronization of the private key, okay? So easy and convenience. So we believe this is decentralized security made easy, finally, okay? So back up a bit. Okay, now this is the two hardware. You have the brown one, the gray one actually, and the silver one. The brown one is the authentication key. Both of them are sync. When you initialize it, the private key is sync, the master seed key is sync. So normally you use the gray one, the A key, for your normal transaction. Every time you need to transact, you plug it in, key in your PIN, and you can digitally sign the transaction. And the R key, the rescue key, is a silver one. You typically put in a safe. Make sure it's safe, right? So you put that, you don't use it until when, let's say you forgot the PIN to the A key. Then you take it out and then you reset the PIN. Or if you lose the A key, somehow someone steals the A key, what you do is you buy a blank one, okay, and then you take out your R key from the safe, plug it into the computer, synchronize it, and you're done. You recover your A key. So it's very simple. Okay? So welcome to the future of Web3 security. Okay? It can easily secure your private key by to all your crypto asset using this technology, and it's patented Singapore, because it's a Singapore company, it's patented in Singapore, and of course in 20 other countries. Therefore, no more complicated procedures and manipulation regarding the seed phrase, and you will not fall into phishing attack because there's nothing to phish, no seed phrase to phish, right? And it is easy and for normal users like us to be able to do self-custody of our private keys. Okay? And we believe, therefore, there's mass adoption of decentralized security. Maybe the next year when I give the same talk here again, I can see more than half of you have hardware wallets, right? So that will be an improvement, okay? Right, so we believe that with this technology, we can have one security system for all applications and services. In fact, UKISS technology is not just used for crypto assets. It is also used traditionally to encrypt your data files. Now, all the files that you have on the hard drive, your pictures, your family photos, your financial statement, your contract, these are stored on the hard drive or stored in the cloud, right? Now imagine you store in the cloud. You know who can access it? The cloud administrator, right? Yes, it is supposed to be encrypted. The master key is you, the cloud administrator. If you want to, or under the order of the government, they have the right to open your file and access it, or even delete it, right? So imagine all your files are encrypted with the hardware, and then you store it in the cloud or in your laptop. So even if someone steals your laptop, they open the hard drive, they cannot see the files because it's encrypted. So this same technology can encrypt all the data files in your computer and in the cloud, in addition to securing your private key. Okay? So it's one security system for all applications and services. Now imagine this. This could have big implication and potential, right, for your future identity, your NFT, okay, your daily use. So we call that self-sovereign assets. Okay? Realizing self-sovereign assets. So first of all, it reduces data privacy breaches because you now control your own data. Okay? We are Singaporeans, we all have this SingPass with us, right? We all love our SingPass, right? Now with the single SingPass, I can log into all government websites. And SingPass has all my data from my CPF, my tax, my graduation cert, education, everything they have, right? Now it's very convenient. If anyone wants to use this data, I can just authorize it using my SingPass. But SingPass is only for Singaporean, and it is centralized, correct? Now imagine a decentralized version of SingPass, an international version of SingPass, powered and protected by the same technology. Wouldn't that be very useful for us in the world? So in the future, we can go to any website. We don't need to have user ID and password. It's just one single app. I scan the QR code, I log in, right? And I know the private key is secure because it's held in my hardware. No one can steal it. So that is the future of what we are envisioning, okay? Based on blockchain implementation of what we call decentralized ID, DID, and self-sovereign identity. Okay, that's what UKISS is doing, and they are powered all by the UKISS hardware. Okay, so how we do that is going to create a DID wallet application, the SingPass version, international version of SingPass, and also a smart wallet application that can use the same DID and smart contract to automate a lot of our business and personal assets management, okay, contracts and so on. So at the same time, it protects our privacy because I only reveal what information I need for the counterparty. I do not have to give them my whole private data. For example, you want to know, is this person above 18? Then my VC, my SSI will tell you, yes, it is above 18. I do not have to give you my IC number, my birth date, and everything. Right? So it protects my privacy. At the same time, I can participate in KYC, I participate in a lot of DeFi exchanges and so on. Okay? So the user will benefit. And if you think further, if I have my information with me, all my medical data, I can sell it, right? I can have a DeFi exchange that can trade all this information authorized by myself. It's my own data, I can sell it. Authorized by myself, right? Through the private key, so I can earn from my data. We call that data monetization. We're talking about data monetization for many years. I think finally it is within reach because I control the private key myself. Okay, so in the end, what we call user-centric private key management is what we want to achieve. Okay, so that brings me to the end of my sharing. And thank you everyone for your patience and your support. If you are interested in finding out more about UKISS, this is our contact. And we have a booth here. And I want to tell you that we have every day 5 p.m. a lucky draw. So go to our booth, drop in your name card. At the end, at 5 p.m., we're going to, what time is that? We stay at 1 hour, right? So you have 1 hour to do that, and you will have a lucky draw that can win you a free set of hardware. Okay? So that's all I have for today. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you very much.